Before you spend that boring US coin, look closer, because the most valuable ones can be the scratched, off-center, misprinted mistakes everyone else ignores. In the next seconds, I'll show you exactly what to look for in pennies, nickels, quarters, and bicentennial coins, and how one tiny error can turn pocket change into a collector payday. So subscribe now and check your pocket right after this. Legacy Coins USA. Let's get started. A plain-looking 1963 Lincoln cent, the kind that's been rattling around in drawers for decades, suddenly becoming the center of a what-if moment. On the front it says Liberty and in God We Trust, and Lincoln's portrait looks familiar enough that most people wouldn't even glance twice. But coin collecting is a world where tiny differences matter more than face value, and the real magic is that the most valuable coins don't look golden or special to non-collectors at first glance. That's exactly why these stories hook people. It feels like a secret hiding in plain sight, and it triggers that instant urge to grab a jar of change and start checking. Start with the reality check that makes the story believable. A normal 1963 penny is common. The Philadelphia version has no mint mark, the Denver one has a small d, and both were made in huge numbers. Most circulated pieces are worth just a little over face value, and even nice ones are usually collector cheap. But the phrase, most valuable 1963 penny isn't totally fake, because the top prices come from extraordinary condition or from specific error coins that slipped past quality control. Collectors pay for scarcity they can prove, and the moment you say prove, you're talking about magnification, weight, metal, and professional grading, not just a dramatic caption. So what actually makes a 1963 Lincoln cent explode in value? Condition is the first lever. In coin terms, a coin can be the same date and the same mint, yet one sells for pocket change and another sells for a car payment-sized number because the expensive one is essentially untouched, sharp hair details on Lincoln, full lettering, clean fields with minimal marks, and original luster that still flashes when you tilt it. The highest-end collectors chase top population-graded coins, meaning the best examples certified by major grading services, and those can command startling prices because the supply is tiny at the top, even when the date itself is common. It's not as viral as $1 million penny, but it's how serious money actually enters the story. Now the part everyone loves, errors. This is where a normal coin becomes a conversation stopper. A true doubled die is one of the big ones. Letters and numbers look doubled because the die itself was created with a misalignment during hubbing, not because the coin got damaged later. Under magnification you might see doubling in the date 1963, in Liberty, or in God We Trust. Another head-turner is an off-center strike where the design is shifted and part of the blank shows, especially if the date is still visible. Then there are dramatic die breaks and cuts, where a chunk of the die breaks away and leaves a raised blob on the coin. The reason these get people excited is simple: you can see them, you can film them up close, and they feel like a glitch in history you can hold. A huge source of confusion and a great way to protect your audience from getting misled is the difference between real mint errors and post-mint damage. A coin run over by a car can look wild, a coin that got stuck in a dryer can look warped, a coin scraped by tools can show doubling that's actually just flattened metal. Collectors call common misleading effects machine doubling, which looks like a shadowy shelf on letters, not the bold, separated doubling that a true doubled die shows. If you're making high engagement content, this is gold. You can tell people, don't get tricked by fake errors, look for strong, clean doubling and crisp edges, and suddenly the comments turn into people sharing close-ups and asking for help, which boosts discovery without pushing false promises. You also mentioned bicentennial coins, and that's another viral magnet. The US bicentennial designs, especially the 1776 to 1976 quarters, halves, and dollars, are everywhere, so most of them are not rare. That said, value spikes when you have the right combination: high grade, certain mint issues, proof versions, silver composition for some collector editions, and legitimate errors like missing clad layers, doubled dies, or striking anomalies. The line that keeps viewers engaged while staying accurate is, most are common, but some special versions and errors are where the serious value lives. That prompts people to check dates, edges, mint marks, and whether their coin looks like a proof, mirror-like, rather than a normal circulation strike. If you want a cinematic way to help people check their coins, tell them to do 3 quick tests before they dream big. First, read the date and look for the mint mark. No mint mark, Philadelphia, D, Denver, and for some coins S, San Francisco, which often signals proof or special collector strikes. Second, tilt the coin under light and look for true luster or a proof-like mirror finish. This can separate an everyday piece from something made for collectors. Third, use a cheap jeweler's loupe or phone macro lens and hunt for the kind of doubling or odd texture that looks intentional and repeated, not random scratches. When people can do something immediately, watch time goes up because they pause the video to check, then come back to compare. Here's the part that keeps the story exciting but stops it from becoming misinformation. The biggest prices are usually tied to verified varieties and certified condition, not just the date. If someone truly finds a coin that could be worth serious money, the next move isn't selling it to the first person who DMs them, it's protecting it. Hold it by the edges, don't clean it. Cleaning can crush value. Put it in a basic coin flip or capsule, and take clear photos in natural light of both sides, plus close-ups of the date and mint mark. Then you compare it to known varieties and, if it still looks promising, you consider professional grading. The don't clean it line alone sparks a ton of reactions because people realize they may have accidentally ruined coins in the past, and they start sharing their own stories. And finally, the truth about the $1 million coin claim. Yes, there are US coins that sell for huge sums, and yes, there are rare errors that can reach eye-watering numbers, but those are exceptional, documented, and fiercely competed for by collectors. The best engagement comes from framing it as a treasure hunt with real rules, not a guaranteed lottery ticket. Tell people the dream is possible but the odds favor knowledge. The more you learn about mint marks, varieties, errors, and grading, the more you turn random luck into smart searching. That's how you keep the audience hopeful, curious, and coming back, because now it's not just hype, it's a skill they can build. Keep a close eye on your change because that hidden treasure might be sitting right in your pocket. Don't forget to subscribe so you never miss a big find. Stay tuned, because in the next video, we're diving into another legendary coin that could be worth a small fortune. Next up, the Washington Quarter is one of those coins people think they already know, which is exactly why it makes such a perfect treasure hunt story. A single quarter can look ordinary, feel ordinary, even sound ordinary when it hits the table, yet tiny details can flip the entire narrative from spare change to collector target. When you see the eagle on the reverse and those bold words United States of America and quarter dollar, it feels like the most everyday coin on earth, and that's the hook. Because the most shareable finds are the ones hiding in plain sight, the ones you could have spent without thinking, the ones sitting in an old cup holder or a dusty jar like they've been waiting for you to notice them. Now here's the part people get wrong online. A normal 1967 quarter is common, and most of them are not worth a fortune. 1967 quarters were struck during a special era when the US Mint removed mint marks from coins, so you won't see a D or S on many coins from 1965 to 1967, and they were made in huge numbers for circulation. That means the average 1967 you find in a drawer is usually worth face value, maybe a little more if it's unusually nice. But the reason collectors still hunt 1967 is because value doesn't come from the date alone, it comes from condition and, most importantly, from real, verifiable error varieties that can be spotted, filmed, argued over in comments, and proven with close-ups. If you want the "this could change everything" feeling without slipping into fake promises, focus the story on the moment of checking. Flip the coin to the front and look for the date under Washington's neck, that's where 1967 lives. Then look at the edges. A 1967 quarter should be clad, copper-nickel layers, and most will show a copper-colored stripe on the edge. If someone claims it's silver, the edge and weight tests become a whole suspense scene. And then comes the make-or-break detail, the surfaces. A truly high-grade 1967 quarter with sharp details, clean fields, and strong luster can become a serious collector coin because it's hard to find them untouched after decades of circulation, and top-grade examples are a different market than just a quarter. The most viral moneymaker angle with 1967 isn't rare because it's old, it's rare because it's wrong. Mint errors are the stuff that turns a quiet coin into a story that people replay and zoom in on. Think about off-center strikes where the design is shifted in part of the blank shows, especially if the date is still visible, broad strikes where the coin spreads out wider than normal, clipped planchets where a curved chunk is missing from the rim, and dramatic die breaks that leave raised blobs or cracks across the design. These are the errors that can look like a glitch in reality, something that makes people stop scrolling because it looks impossible, like the coin got printed wrong. But here's where you win trust and keep engagement high. Most errors people think they found are actually damage after the coin left the mint. A quarter that got squeezed, sanded, heat damaged, or beaten up can look weird in ways that mimic errors, and comment sections will destroy a creator who promises millions based on a coin that's just been abused. The key phrase collectors listen for is it a true mint error or post-mint damage? True errors tend to show consistent metal flow, clean raised features, not gouged in scratches, and repeating patterns that match known varieties. If you tell viewers, don't clean it, don't polish it, don't try to improve it, you instantly sound like someone who knows what they're talking about, and people start taking their own coins seriously. Now let's talk bicentennial coins, because they're the biggest I have that moment in America. The 1776 to 1976 quarters with the drummer boy reverse are everywhere, and most are not rare. That's exactly why they're so perfect for engagement. Everyone can participate, everyone can check, everyone can hope. The real high-value targets are specific versions like certain proof coins, special collector strikes, silver-clad editions made for collectors, and genuine errors, doubled dies, missing clad layers, off-center strikes, wrong planchets. The trick is to frame it as most are common, but some are shockingly valuable when the right details stack together, because that's true, and it keeps people watching without selling a fantasy. If you want a cinematic check this right now segment, make it about 3 sightings that feel like clues. One is the date and design change, 1967 front with eagle back versus 1776 to 1976 with the drummer boy back. Another is the edge. Copper stripe usually means clad, a solid silver-looking edge can be a clue to something special, or just lighting, so you build suspense, not certainty. The third is magnification. Have viewers use a phone macro or cheap loupe and look for doubling in letters and numbers, especially where it looks clean and intentional rather than like a flat, smeared shadow. When people can do the detective work instantly, they comment, share photos, and tag friends. Your discoverability spikes because it turns into a group treasure hunt. And now the million-dollar part, because yes, there are US coins that sell for insane sums, but they're not random miracles. 7-figure results typically come from extreme rarity plus ironclad authentication, famous error types, legendary condition, or historically significant pieces with documented provenance, usually certified by top grading companies and fought over in high-end auctions. A 1967 quarter is far more likely to be a cool find worth more than face value, a high-grade collector coin, or an authentic error worth real money, rather than a billionaire maker. The way to keep the dream alive while staying honest is to say, the fortune is in the details, and the details are what separate a viral myth from a real collector discovery. So if you want to turn your exact coin into the most shareable version of this story, I just need one thing: upload a clear photo of the front side showing Washington and the date area. If you can, also send a close-up of the date and the edge. Once I can confirm whether it's actually 1967, and whether anything looks like a real mint error, I'll rewrite these 9 paragraphs so they're tightly tailored to your specific coin and hit even harder for audience engagement without getting fact-checked into the ground. Next up. A 1956 Lincoln wheat penny is the kind of coin people ignore for years, and that's exactly why it's perfect for a hidden treasure story. On the front you've got Lincoln with Liberty and In God We Trust, and on the back those 2 wheat stalks framing 1 cent in United States of America with E pluribus unum, simple, familiar, almost too ordinary. But wheat pennies carry a different kind of electricity, because they're a direct link to mid-century America, and they create that irresistible feeling that a fortune could be sitting inside a coffee can on a shelf. The best performing coin content starts with that emotional truth: you don't need a museum to find history, sometimes history is already in your pocket. Here's the twist that keeps the audience with you: most 1956 wheat cents are not rare, and that honesty actually boosts trust and engagement. 1956 pennies were made in large numbers, and in everyday circulated condition they're typically worth more than a modern cent but nowhere near quit-your-job money. Still, collectors chase them for 2 reasons that are way more exciting than the date itself: stunning condition and legitimate mint errors. When your audience understands that the jackpot comes from specific traits, they stop treating coins like lottery tickets and start treating them like clues, and that shift makes people watch longer, comment more, and start checking every penny they own. To make a 1956 penny truly valuable, the first thing is the mint mark, because it's the coin's birth certificate. Look under the date on the front. No mint mark usually means Philadelphia, a D means Denver, and an S means San Francisco. Each has its own collector demand, and while none automatically equals $1 million, the mint mark is the first gate you have to pass before you even talk about rarity, varieties, or high-end auction prices. This is where your script gets interactive. You tell viewers to pause, grab a light, and check under the date, then come back and tell you what they see. That single moment turns a passive viewer into an active participant. Next comes the condition factor, which is the quiet reason some common coins sell for shockingly high numbers. A wheat penny that's been bouncing around in pockets for decades will have soft details, dull surfaces, and rim nicks. But a coin that somehow stayed crisp, sharp coat lines on Lincoln, strong wheat lines on the reverse, clean fields, and original color can leap into a different category because top-grade examples are genuinely scarce. There's also a huge emotional difference between old penny and time capsule penny. When you describe the look of bright original luster or a clean chocolate brown patina that hasn't been scrubbed, you're painting a picture people can recognize instantly, and they'll start comparing their own coins in real time. Now for the part that makes people's hearts race: errors and varieties. It shouldn't exist like this coins. Real mint errors can include off-center strikes, where part of the design is missing but the date still shows, die cracks and cuts, where broken die pieces leave raised blobs, and dramatic strike-through errors where debris at the mint left a distinctive imprint. Another popular hunt is double die style doubling, where letters or numbers appear doubled because the die itself carried the mistake. When you explain that a true error is part of the metal, not a scratch on top of it, viewers start looking closer, and that's when the comments fill up with people posting blurry photos and asking, "Is mine real?" But to keep the story powerful and not misleading, you need the "Don't Get Fooled" section, because that's what separates a viral clip from a credibility crash. A lot of people see doubling that's actually machine doubling, which can look like a flat, shelf-like shadow rather than strong, separated doubling. Others confuse corrosion bubbles, plating issues, or damage from being squeezed in a vise with mint-made errors. And the biggest value killer of all is cleaning. Polishing a wheat penny can make it shinier, but it usually makes it less valuable because collectors want original surfaces. This one line, "Whatever you do, don't clean it," is like gasoline for engagement, because it sparks instant regret stories and makes people feel like they're handling something important. If you want that million-dollar energy without making claims that get torn apart, anchor your story in the handful of US cents that really can reach extreme prices and explain why they're different. The biggest sales tend to involve legendary dates, ultra-rare minting circumstances, or famous errors that are documented and authenticated, like certain early copper cents, iconic doubled dies, or the rare wartime composition oddities people have heard whispers about. That context lets you say something exciting but true. Not every 1956 penny is a fortune, but learning what makes some cents extraordinary is how you turn random change into a real treasure hunt. People love that because it turns hope into a skill. Now even the bicentennial angle the right way, because it supercharges reach. Everyone has seen 1776 to 1976 coins, and everyone thinks they might have the special one. Most bicentennial quarters, halves, and dollars are common, but some versions, proof strikes, special collector issues, silver compositions made for collectors, and real errors, can bring serious money. The best engagement move is to frame bicentennials as the gateway hunt and wheat pennies as the deep hunt. One gets everyone to check their change immediately, the other gets people to start going through old jars, albums, and inherited collections. That keeps the story broad and personal at the same time. Then give viewers a simple cinematic routine that feels like they're doing something secret and smart. Tell them to sort coins by wheat back first, because wheat cents are instantly recognizable. Then check the date and mint mark under the date. Then use a flashlight and a phone camera zoom to inspect Liberty, Indiana God We Trust, and the date for unusual thickness, separation, or repeated odd shapes that don't look like random damage. Finally, compare the reverse wheat stalks for strange raised lines, blobs, or missing details that suggest a die issue. When you narrate those checks like a treasure map, people follow along, and the video becomes an experience instead of just information. If someone thinks they've found a winner, the next steps are where the "this could be real" drama lives. Handle the coin by the edges, put it in a basic protective holder, take clear photos in natural light of both sides, and especially close-ups of the date and mint mark. If it still looks promising, look up known varieties for that date and consider professional authentication and grading, because the highest prices almost always involve certified coins. This is also where you warn about scammers. Anyone offering instant cash in DMs without proper verification is usually not your friend. Viewers appreciate that protection, and it makes them trust your content more. The real reason people love wheat pennies isn't just money, it's the feeling that you might be the first person in decades to truly notice something extraordinary. A 1956 wheat penny probably won't make someone a billionaire overnight, but it can absolutely be the coin that starts a collection, pays for a surprise weekend, or becomes a verified error worth serious cash, especially if it's in exceptional condition or has a real mint-made mistake. That's the best kind of viral promise, not guaranteed riches, but your next great story might already be in your hand. If you want, tell me what mint mark your 1956 has, none, D, or S, and whether the back is wheat stalks or a different design, and I'll tailor the script even tighter to your exact coin. Next up. A 2015 D. Jefferson nickel feels almost too modern to be a treasure coin, and that's exactly why this story grabs people. On one side you've got Jefferson with Liberty and In God We Trust, and on the other you'll see Monticello with 5 cents in United States of America, plus E Pluribus Unum tucked in clean, iconic, and so common that most people wouldn't even bother picking it up off the sidewalk. But modern coins can still become collector lightning rods, because the big money doesn't always come from age. It comes from mistakes, rarity inside a massive mintage, and the kind of condition that survives without a single ugly hit. Here's the truth that actually makes the whole "check your coins right now" message stronger. A normal 2015 D nickel is worth 5 cents. That honesty is what keeps people from tearing your content apart in the comments. The hook isn't every 2015 D is a fortune, it's a few 2015 D nickels are worth real money because of specific errors and top-grade condition, and you can learn to spot the difference. When you frame it like a treasure hunt with rules, your audience leans in, because they're not being sold a fantasy, they're being invited into a game that feels winnable. Start with the D mint mark itself, because it's the coin's first identity clue. On a 2015 D nickel, the D means it was struck at the Denver Mint, and that matters because different mints can have different die varieties and different populations of high-grade examples. This is also where engagement happens naturally. You tell viewers to find the D, then look for the small design details around the lettering in Jefferson's profile. People love that "I never noticed this before" moment. It turns a boring coin into a tiny puzzle, and suddenly they're staring at nickels like they're decoding something. Then you bring in the factor that makes modern coins surprisingly valuable: condition, especially uncirculated and ultra-gem pieces. Modern nickels get bag marks and rough handling almost immediately, so truly flawless examples can be scarcer than people assume. In the collector world, the jump from nice to nearly perfect can be dramatic, because registry-set collectors compete for the best-graded coins they can find. That's why you'll hear about modern coins selling for way more than face value, because at the top end, you're not buying metal, you're buying the best-known example of that exact issue. It's a flex, a trophy, and a scarcity game all at once. Now you pivot into the part people really came for: errors that look like the coin glitched during creation. With nickels, you can get off-center strikes, broad strikes, clipped planchets, die cracks, and strike-through errors where grease or debris causes missing or distorted details. You can also get double die-style doubling, where parts of the lettering or date show strong, separated doubling that's part of the strike, not a scratch. The reason error coins go viral is simple: they're visual. People can see the weirdness. They can argue about it. They can zoom in and feel like detectives. A clean, dramatic error on a modern coin can be far more exciting to viewers than a century-old coin that just looks old. But if you want maximum engagement without misinformation, you have to include the fake error trap, because that's where most viewers will be. A lot of doubling people notice is machine doubling, which looks flat and shelf-like, not bold and separated. Scrapes, dents, heat damage, and chemical discoloration can create patterns that look rare but aren't mint-made. And the biggest heartbreak move is cleaning. Shining a nickel with polish can make it look better to a casual eye but usually makes it less desirable to collectors. When you say don't clean it, you'll trigger that instant flood of comments, people confessing what they did to coins as kids, or posting coins asking if they ruined them. That's how a coin video turns into a community thread. If you want to keep the life-changing vibe while staying real, talk about what actually creates million-dollar sales in US coins. Those headline-grabbing prices come from extreme rarity plus proof, like iconic errors, historically important issues, and coins that are authenticated, graded, and sold in major auctions where wealthy collectors compete. It's not magic, it's documentation. So the smarter, more believable promise is, you probably won't become a billionaire overnight from a 2015 nickel, but you absolutely can find a modern error or top-grade coin worth far more than 5 cents, and the skill of spotting those details is what turns chance into opportunity. Now blend in the bicentennial angle the right way, because it's engagement rocket fuel. Bicentennial coins, especially the 1776 to 1976 quarter with the drummer boy reverse, are everywhere, and most are common. But special versions exist: proofs, silver collector issues, and real mint errors. The reason to mention them in a nickel story is psychological: it widens the treasure hunt. One person starts by checking nickels, then they remember they have a bicentennial quarter in a drawer, then they check wheat pennies, then they call a parent about an old coin jar. You're not just talking about one coin anymore, you're launching a chain reaction. To make the content feel actionable and bingeable, give viewers a quick scan routine that feels like a ritual. Tell them to isolate their cleanest 2015 D nickels first, because condition is a multiplier. Then look for oddities that repeat across letters: doubling on United States of America, weird thickness in 5 cents, strange breaks near the rims, or missing detail that looks like it happened during striking. Then compare two nickels side by side, because differences pop when you have a reference. That comparison moment is powerful on camera, and it makes people at home start pairing coins and noticing things they would have missed alone. When someone thinks they found something special, the next move is what separates a real score from a ruined opportunity. Hold the coin by the edges, store it safely, and take clear photos of both sides in natural light, plus close-ups of the date, mint mark, and any suspicious area. If it still looks like a legitimate mint error or a truly pristine uncirculated coin, then you talk about verification, comparing to known varieties and, for serious candidates, professional grading. This is also where you warn about quick flip scams. If someone pressures you to sell immediately without verification, that's a red flag. That protective tone makes your content feel trustworthy, and trust is what keeps people following. And end with the line that makes people actually get up and check their coins. The biggest surprises often come from the coins everyone ignores. A 2015 D. Jefferson nickel is so ordinary that it's the perfect hiding place for an extraordinary mistake, and mistakes are where the real modern coin money lives. Don't spend your suspicious-looking coins until you've checked the date, mint mark, condition, and error markers, because the worth 5 cents version and the collector wants this version can look almost identical until you know what to look for. If you want, tell me what looks unusual on yours: doubling, missing letters, off-center strike, weird edge, extra blob, anything. If you've got US coins, don't rush to spend them. Check the date, mint mark, and any strange errors first, because your ordinary change might be the one piece with an extraordinary story. For more rare coin hunts and quick check guides, subscribe and stay with me, because the next coin that shocks you could be sitting in your pocket right now.